Hello guys, welcome to today's episode of my lecture, and today we will be talking about who the company is. Who is the company? As a company law student, I'm very sure that you understand what a company is, and if you don't, I will advise you to look it up before you continue this lecture, because it is very important for you to understand that when you are talking about the legal terminology of what a company is, it is a different person from the incorporators. You need to read the case of Salomon versus Salomon to properly understand what I am saying. When we are talking about a company has been given the corporate toga, meaning that it is totally different from the people who incorporated it. So if Taye, Kende, Idowu and Alaba, 4 people decide to form a company, Tabi Limited, you should know that those 4 people are different from who Tabi Limited is. That is what you will find under our Kama and also under the common law rule of Salomon and Salomon. So now that we understand the concepts behind the Tabi Limited, knowing fully well that it is a different person from those people that incorporated it, the next question that we need to ask basically is, as a person, how then does it function? You know that a human being, to be able to function properly, the human being needs to have a mind and will of its own. You know, the ability to reason and then the ability to make decisions using its mind and will. Do you understand? And then those decisions are carried out visibly by the other parts of the body, like the hands and then the leg and then a lot of other things. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want us to read a particular dictum in the case of Bolton Engineering versus Graham. What does the dictum say? The dictum says that a company may be likened to a human body. It has brain and nerve center which controls what is done. Some of the people in the company are merely servants and agents who are nothing more than hands to do the work and can't be said to represent the mind or will of the company. Others are directors and managers who represent the directing mind and power of the company. It is on this that we then need to understand that when we are talking about the organs of corporate administration, when we are talking about where the power of corporate administration resides, we need to know that there are 2 different people. First of all, we have the mind and will of the company. Secondly, we have the servants of the company. Now, the same way a human body, before it can move, the person needs to have a mind and will of its own before that person can do things, and before the person can carry out those things, the person needs to have hands and legs and other body parts to be able to function properly. That's the same way a company, who is known as a person in law, also has its own mind and will and has its own hands and legs. Do you understand? The hands and legs represent the servants. The mind and will, they represent the directors of the company. But let us look at it also from the perspective of the Kama. Let us look at section 341 of Kama. What does section 341 of Kama say? That subject to the provisions of this act, where an irregularity is made in the course of a company's affairs, or any wrong is done to the company, only the company can sue to remedy that wrong, and only the company can ratify the irregular conduct. Now, the most important thing that I want us to look at in that section is the fact that it says only the company can sue. It then boils down to the question, who is the company? Which was the first question that I asked at the beginning of this lecture. For us to be able to know who the company is, we need to go to section 87 sub 1 of the Kama. What does section 87 sub 1 say? Section 87 sub 1 tells us that a company can only act through its members in general meeting or its board of directors, or through officers or agents appointed by or under authority derived from the members in general meeting or the board of directors. Now, there are three sets of people in that particular section. It said, subject to the provisions of this act, the company shall act. I want you to understand what it means for the company to act. It means that the company cannot act except through these people that have been mentioned in 87.1. That's the first place for us to start with. So now, we said the company shall act through the members in general meeting, through the board of directors, giving us two organs. The company shall act through the board or through the members. Then gives us a third one, or through any officer or agent who must have derived his authority from either the board or the members in general meeting. It tells us that there are three classes. We have the members in general meeting, we have the board of directors, and then we have officers or agents who must have gotten their powers from either these two. These two, therefore, will be said to represent the mind and the will of the company, while these ones are merely servants who carry out what the mind and the will of the company must have said. Do you understand that? So if we look at what the court in the case of Bolton Engineering versus Graham has said, and we compare it to what section 87 said, it has delineated to us who the mind and the will of the company is and who the servants of the company would be. Do you understand? So now that we understand these two classes of people, the mind and the will, the servant, and according to 87.1, it tells us that the members in general meeting and the board of directors shall be the mind, because that is through those people the company shall act. And then the officers, who shall be the servants, carrying out the orders that must have been given by those people. So therefore, we then understand that. We then go to the next question. Who then are the members in general meeting? And that is what I'll be teaching in my next lecture. Thank you very much.